والصلاة والسلام رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن سار سبيله إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So we continue discussing the book Mukhtasar Sahih Bukhari by Zabida rahimahullah, where he had the author of condensed the book of Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, but still keep most of the chapters, but condensed regarding the hadith that are mentioned. So far that we have reached up to Kitab as-Salat and discussing concerning matters relating to regarding al-thiyab, or the garments that are worn regarding salat. So we'll pick up from that discussion and continue what have been and continue concerning that discussion. تفضل.
طيب حديث الصلاة في ثوب واحد.
أنانس.
ملتفت.
إذا كان ثوب ضيقا قرأنا. أي إذا كان ثوب واحد أيوة.
طيب.
يجعل في آتكيه أيوة.
هذا حديث. طيب. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال مؤلف رحمه الله, chapter 3, to offer as-salah with a single garment wrapped around the body. Hadith number 231, narrated by Hani bint Abi Talib radiyallahu anha.
You read that hadith?
Have you read this hadith?
We went the chapter after.
طيب. طيب. Chapter 4. قال مؤلف رحمه الله, if someone offers salah wrapped in a single garment, he should cross its corners round his shoulders. هذا هكذا. طيب. Hadith number 234, narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, none of you should offer the salah in a single garment that does not cover one's shoulder. Hadith number 235, also narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu. I testify that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, whoever offers salah in a single garment must cross its ends over his shoulders.
So here the author, Hafidullah or Rahimahullah, discussed concerning, or still discussing matters regarding matters pertaining to salat, but in specific regarding matters relating to al-thiyab, regarding the way the person's dress code regarding as-salat. So he started regarding concerning discussing those ahadith pertaining to salat and the type of garment that one is allowed to be worn. And regarding concerning this discussion, that the ulama, the fuqaha and the muhaddithin, that they are somewhat in agreement regarding concerning that the person covering of certain parts of his body for the salat is something which is wajib and is a part of the condition of the salat. So for the person, one of the requirement, one of the condition for the person's salat to be deemed as correct or valid, that a person must cover a certain portion of his body, and that applies to both male and to female. So with this matter, that Imam, the author here is discussing from what has been mentioned by Bukhari rahimahullah, some of those matters relating to the dress code regarding as-salat. So as what is mentioned here, as he mentioned the hadith or two hadith regarding لا يصلي أحدكم في ثوب واحد ليس على آتقيه شيء. So he mentioned regarding concerning this discussion, so of those things that all might discuss concerning what's concerning the requirement of what is the garment requirement regarding as-salat. So as we'll discuss concerning the khilaf on that matter, but he mentioned a hadith here regarding concerning that it is not allowed for one to pray in thawbin wahid, laysa ala atikayhi, or some mention atikihi shay. So you have two different narration that mention both his shoulders, and some mention a single shoulder. So some narration that mention that the person must have his shoulders covered, some narration mention both shoulders, some narration mention one shoulder. So from this, and then the second hadith also somewhat similar. So with this, you have a discussion between the ulama and regarding this matter, regarding what's the requirement for a male, regarding what are those areas that one should cover while in salat. As they mentioned, satul awra. So as referred to the fuqaha, satul awra, what are those areas that must be covered while the person is in salat. So you have, so with this discussion, Sheikh Al-Raji and then also Al-Shawkani and others have mentioned regarding concerning that as for what is said to what is discussed regarding that what is the awra of the man, and more so that they mention one, the person must cover from his navel to his knees. A discussion between ulama, are those things included or they are excluded, so right below the navel, or the person must also include the knees or before the knees. A khilaf between the ulama on that matter. But what seems to be more correct, that a person must cover those areas. So the navel must be covered. So the garment must be above the navel. And also the garment that is being worn, it must cover the person's knees. So the knees should not be exposed, as that will be the person exposing their awwa regarding the male. And for the next matter that they cover is regarding the person not covering his shoulders. So is covering of the shoulders a requirement regarding the salat? So something additional to just those areas that we have just previously mentioned. So is the shoulders also need to be covered? A khilaf between the ulama on that matter. So you have three aqwal, as mentioned here by the author here, or the Shara' or Sheikh Abdul Aziz Al-Raji, Hafidullah, he mentioned regarding this matter, that is the shoulder must to be covered in the salat. Then he mentioned that the first of the aqwal of the ulama that they state, ذهب الجمهور, that jumhur of the ulama, that they mentioned concern that it is sufficient for a person to pray in a garment that covers most of his body, even if it does not cover his shoulders. So the person exposing one's shoulders in salat, but still cover the other area that we have mentioned, his salat is still valid. That's a call of jumhur of the ulama. And they mentioned regarding concern, so they mentioned that for the person to cover a shoulder, it is not wajib, but something which is mustahab. So for one to cover his shoulders, it is mustahab, but not wajib with jumhur of the ulama. And they mentioned many hadith the Prophet gave allowance for a person to pray, or that state, praying in the person covering himself without mentioning or including the shoulders. As the hadith that is mentioned after. So that's the first view of the ulama. The second view of the ulama is that they state with the view of Ahmad bin Hanbal, Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, where he states, and also others that state that the person, they mentioned that the person is wajib for one to cover their shoulders. It's wajib for one to cover their shoulders in the salat. So the person cover from his navel to his knees, but also addition to this, the person also must cover his shoulders. The person must cover his shoulders. And I mentioned the hadith that is mentioned here. So the first hadith that is mentioned here, as it states, لا يصلي, and some narration mentioned لا يصلين أحدكم في ثوب واحد ليس على آتقه أو آتقيه شيء. So it mentioned that the second part mentioned the person is not to pray in one garment except that he has his shoulders or both shoulders are covered. So it's based upon this hadith that it is compulsory, it's a must for one to cover his shoulders in salat. That's a view taken by Ahmed rahimahullah and others. And some mention regarding of those who take this view, the person, if one is able, then it's a must. If it is the person is able, then it is a must. And also with this view, if the person does not cover his shoulder, his salat is batil. So according to this view, if one does not cover, they mention the person's salat, if he does not cover his shoulders and he prays as such, then the person's salat is invalid. So that's concerning the second view. There's a third view of the ulama, who all concerning that annahu al-amr, that they all concerning that it is something which is the command that one must cover one shoulder, something which is wajib, but if the person did not do so, his salat is still valid. So if it is not done, but it's something that so the person fall into sin for not doing it, but if it was uncovered and he prayed as such, then his salat is still valid, but the person is athim, he's sinful. Clear? So that's the third view. So the person, if he was to pray and he's not covering his shoulders, now they say a salat is still valid. You do not need to repeat your salat, but you are sinful for doing this. You're sinful for missing, for not praying with your shoulders covered. So that's one of the view of the ulama. Another view of the ulama on this particular matter. So you have those aqwal between the ulama on that matter. The three aqwal regarding covering of the shoulders in salat. So those, as we had mentioned, those views. So that's concerning that matter that is mentioned here. A next matter that also regarding, so this is regarding the person in salah, regarding concerning what areas of the body is to be covered in salat, as we had just stated. A next matter, by just extension, we'll mention now, regarding concern, we mentioned about male, how about for a female? What is to be covered for a female in salah? So regarding concerning a female in salat, that it is not a must that they have to cover their face. So if the female wear niqab and she's praying, so she only would wear niqab in salat if she's praying where she can be seen by male foreigners. Clear? So female, if for example, she's praying by herself, she should not cover her face or wear her niqab. If she's praying, second scenario, if she's praying with other females and cannot be seen by other males, then also she does not cover her face. Now, so the wearing of niqab is only done when they're in the presence of male foreigners. Clear? So niqab is concealing her face from people who are strange. For example, if she's praying, wife and her husband and her children, she doesn't wear niqab because the male that is present is her mahram, her husband. Now, so that's one of the matters. So it is not a must, is not a requirement that for a female praying by herself or with other females, or she's praying, for example, in certain masajid where they have their own area where they're not seen by men, then they do not wear their niqab. So the next matter, so that's concerned that matter. So as for now, what area they can, so they discuss between the ulama that regarding, so not covering of the face is only done if they're in the presence of male foreigners. Then discuss concerning that for a female, adult female, regarding concerning that as for what is to be covered. So they discuss concerning that, the ulama, they discuss that اختلف العلماء. So you find them, there's أقوال, ثلاثة أقوال. One of the ulama who mentioned أنه يستحب تغطي الكفين والقدمين, that it is mustahab for a female when she's praying that she ensures that her wrist is covered, so her hand is fully covered, and also her feet. But that is mustahab, not wajib. Clear? So the female, so put aside, so said the face, I already discussed about the face. So as for the hands and the feet, is it a must for those areas to be covered? So the ulama, you have of those who hold that is something which is mustahab. And that's the view that is taken by the Hanafiya. So the Hanafi, they all take the position that for her to cover her hand fully, and also her feet, it is something which is mustahab, preferred to be done, but not wajib. That's the first view. The second position that is taken on this matter, أنه يجب ستر القدمين, that it is compulsory for the female that she must cover her feet. As for the hands, then it is not compulsory. So for the hands, the wrist area of the hand to be exposed, then that's fine. So she doesn't have to pray in a glove. So to be covered, that's they mentioned, that is fine to expose this area. But as for the feet, it is wajib. So whatever garment she's wearing or whatever she's wearing must cover her feet. So that's the second view that is taken by the ulama. The second view is that so the second view, I repeat again. The second, أنه يجب ستر القدمين, that we said it is compulsory to cover the feet, and it is not compulsory to cover the hands, that we just said. Okay, so that's the second view. And the scholars say jumhur of the ulama, amongst them the Malikiyah, the Shafi'iyah, and also a position taken by some of the Hanabila. So as the jumhur, it is yajib satr al-qadamain, for a female she must cover her feet. But as for the hands, it is not a must to cover her hands. And we said that's the call of jumhur of the ulama. The third opinion, or the third view that between the ulama, أنه يجب ستر الكفين والقدمين, that is a must for a female in salat. We're talking about in salah, that she must cover her hands fully and also her feet. Must cover her hands and feet. So that's the third view. And that's the view that is a view taken by some of the Hanabila. That's the view that taken by some of the Hanabila. So those are the aqwal between the ulama regarding the female. So as for the face, we said that's not a must unless she's in the presence or can be seen by foreign man, strange man, then she cover her face based upon that. But if she's by herself with other female, with the family members, then she does not and shouldn't. As for the hands and the feet, as I mentioned, is aqwal of those who make a distinct that mention it is mustahab to cover both. And those who mention the feet is a must to be covered. As for the hands, it is not. And those who mention that both feet and hands are must to be covered. So those are the aqwal of the ulama on that matter. Sheikh Khathlan, Hafidullah, of the ulama of contemporary, can somewhat summarize what is mentioned by others, where also that is more inclined towards the first view. What's the first view? The view of the Ahnaf, which is?
Cover the hand.
It is mustahab,
But
not wajib for her to cover hands and feet. It is. So that's the view that he holds. So they mentioned it is mustahab. As he mentioned, Wallahu alam, al-qawl al-awwal, al-qawl al-rajih, Wallahu alam, huwa qawl al-awwal, huwa annahu yastahab satr al-kaffayn wal-qadamayn fi salah. So he mentioned that that's the view that he holds to be the more correct view, that it is preferred for the hands and the feet to be completely covered in the salah. Then he mentioned that وَالْإِخْتَارْ هَذَا قَوْلِ Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. And also of those who have taken that position, he mentioned Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. Have taken that, the position that it is not a must, but it is preferred that the feet and the hands, that they're covered. So the hands would mean up to the wrist. Then then you have certain adillah that is mentioned regarding the view that say it is a must that to cover the feet, that what they use the hadith, they say the hadith, that is the hadith of Salama, that's a famous hadith they mentioned, إذا كان الدر سابق يغطي ظهور قدميه or قدميها, where the Prophet was asked regarding what the female should cover, then they mentioned that إذا كان الدر, meaning concerning the dress that she's wearing, سابقا, it is something which is loose and long, يغطي, that covers ظهور قدميه, that it covers like her feet. Nam, then indicating that what she should wear for salat, it should be something which is long, loose, and also covers the feet, both feet. Nam, so that's the hadith that is used regarding concerning that it is a must to cover the feet. That's the hadith that is used regarding it's a must to cover the feet. As for that hadith though, there's a discussion between the ulama on that particular hadith. So you have a discussion between the ulama regarding concerning this particular hadith, and where they mentioned that the hadith in actuality, the hadith is da'if. So the hadith is in the Abu Dawood in his Sunan, and Abu Dawood rahimahullah also himself indicated the hadith is mawquf. So they mentioned the hadith. So after the thing that, so Abu Dawood, the one who collected the hadith and mentioned this hadith of Salama, also he indicated the hadith is said mawquf. Mawquf meaning that is a narration going back to the Sahabi, which is Sahabiya, in this particular case with Salama. So the statement of Salama regarding covering of the feet, not the statement of the Prophet ﷺ regarding this matter. So based upon this, it shows that it's not something which is wajib. So going back to the Prophet ﷺ, it is da'if regarding a must to cover the feet for a female, and the actual statement is that of Salama. So based upon this, of the ulama, that is not a must, but if it is done, it's something said mustahab, but it is not a must to be done. So we might find that a female, for example, praying at home, that she might wear socks, and she doesn't want, when she, for example, go into sujood, that they believe that they're or when they're in ruku, that the dress will come up and expose a part of their feet, or when they go into, so in ruku, some exposure of the feet, and also in sujood, some exposure of the feet. We said no, those things occurring, no problem. Because there's nothing to say, that said no, based upon the adillah, that there's nothing to say that it is wajib, that those areas must be fully covered. So wearing of a socks, she wears still a long dress, but since you're wearing a socks when you're going to pray, then there's no need of this. It's not a must to be done. It's not a must to be done. So I said not a must. If she does so, not to be fought, but maybe clarify, it's not a must to be done, based upon there's no text regarding stating that is wajib, that it must be covered, meaning if it was to be exposed, her salat is still valid without her salat is still valid. Her salat is still valid. So that's concerned that matter regarding what is to be covered for the female in brief. So as for that, the hadith that I mentioned here, that the hadith here is the primarily discussed concerning that. You have two hadiths mentioned, man salla fi thawbin wahid, that they mentioned that the one who pray in one garment. So of the ulama, all that it is that if this garment cover everything, then the person is okay. Ensuring that is a one-piece garment, it also covers his shoulders. It covers his shoulders. So the first hadith, لا يصلي أحدكم في ثوب واحد. So the first hadith mentioned, you are not to pray in one garment. The second hadith, من صلى في ثوب واحد, or في ثوب واحد, the one who prays in one garment. So it shows that the first hadith that you are not to pray in what? One garment. The second hadith that you are man sallah, that is giving some concession or leniency for the person to pray in one garment. So it shows that the person can do so. That's the least. But it is preferred for the person to pray in more than one garment. So it's that today garment is sufficient regarding the thawb that covers the person fully, that covers the full body, then that is sufficient. So that's concerning this particular hadith, or the hadith that is mentioned regarding this particular discussion. So it seems as if Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, that is more inclined towards the view regarding that I mentioned فَيَجْعَلْ فِي أَلَا أَتِقَيْهِ, that the person is to cover his shoulders. So it seems that Imam Bukhari rahimahullah more inclined towards the person covering both his shoulders in the salah, covering both shoulders in salat. Of those who have discussed the matter further, that we have these t-shirts or vests. A vest, isn't it? Okay. But a string, okay, those ones, that the person was to wear one of those, and pray like that. Is that sufficient? Because he might say, I still have something, I'll cover my shoulders. They said, no, it's from the shoulder up to the neck. So all that to be covered. So the person might have the legs saying, so the person have got string, it's like a string t-shirt. Then with some of the ulama, that's not sufficient. With Ibn Qudama, that is not sufficient. The person will ensure that the entire area is somewhat covered. So to wear the normal t-shirt that will cover that area. So whatever garment is being worn, that it covers that particular area fully. Not just a small portion, not just a small portion. So that's concerning that discussion. With that, inshallah ta'ala,
sorry, Omar. So specifically, these hadith, when the Prophet ﷺ mentioned this hadith, was he? could it be said that he was specifically directing these hadith to the male Sahaba?
These hadith are meant for the male. These hadith are meant for male regarding concerning this one is the hadith I mentioned, most of these hadiths that we have read so far are these ones today are more directed towards male regarding concerning their dress code regarding salat. So you have the dress code which is which is general. So you have different levels of dress code. So you have concerning dress code regarding a person, general dress code. And then you have dress code where the person now in salat. So these hadith are discussing when the person is about in praying, what area of the body needs to be covered. What area to be covered. So the next discussion. So inshallah we stop for today. We'll stop for today inshallah ta'ala. But because of the time of salat, things might be a bit short of the changes until the clock until the clock changes. So for the next few sessions, maybe about half an hour or so that we have for the next few sessions until the clock changes inshallah ta'ala. So we'll stop here for today and continue. So the main point I discussed regarding that Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, that of those things that are covered regarding ahkam of salah, whatever is shurut of salat. So what are those things that are said to be the shurut which are condition of salat? It will include regarding discussing concerning the clothing or the person, it's a satwal awra, covering of the body parts regarding salat. So he's trying to cover concerning of the hadith that discusses concerning what to be covered and also what is acceptable regarding certain garments that are worn regarding salat, as we'll discuss in coming hadith. So of the type of garments that, as you mentioned, as-salat fi jubbat shamiyya. So we'll discuss concerning what is intended by this and what's the masala that is that relates to this, those things to be covered. So the main thing is regarding as-salat. And issues regarding the person guarding his salat, or part of guarding his salat is regarding ensuring the person covers those areas properly. So like the discussion, I will discuss later, if the person was to expose certain parts of his awra in the salat, how that impacts on his salah. So that will be discussed in the next few hadith or chapters that come after regarding ma yasatar min al-awra, regarding the person wants to expose himself to some degree, how that impacts on his salah. At times it can invalidate his salat, and at times it is excuse. So at times, but we said that the problem that we might find today, that the person approaches salat themselves, they're negligent. Now, where they're not per se very mindful regarding their way of dress, regarding salat, especially in the summer days, especially in the summer times, that people may wear shorts, and that may be a bit problematic. Regarding is the person covering that which is appropriate for salat. So that inshallah ta'ala will end for today. So the normal that we have like an introduction of a book relating to Sahih Bukhari. Next we could discuss a book regarding concerning that a book that is in 4 volumes that discuss the Shia attacks upon Sahih Bukhari. The Shia attack, or Rafida, their attack upon Sahih Bukhari, and how the ulama have somewhat tried to clarify their attack upon this book. I said they're just one of many. And you have different books regarding concerning different groups, how they try to attack the book of Sahih Bukhari and books of hadith in general. But next week we'll discuss concerning of those, the Shia and the line of attack, and others. Wabillahi ta'ala. So we'll end there inshallah ta'ala. Wabillahi ta'ala tawfiq.
So you said about the women have to cover themselves in front of men. They have to wear a veil over their face. Is that correct? You said, yeah?
So that the ones who wear niqab, the issue regarding the wearing of the covering of the face is the wajib or not, there's a next discussion. But for those who wear niqab, that the primary thing of wearing niqab for those who wear niqab is when they're in the presence of strange man. So niqab, the purpose of it is that it is to be worn if they are in the presence of men that are strangers. So if they're between women, or family, family members that are mahram to them, it is not a must. They don't need to wear it, but it's mainly worn when they're in the presence of strange men are going to go in that environment. So if they're in their houses, there's no need. But if strange man is in the house, and they may come into, then they will put it on. That's concerned the purpose of niqab. Aywa. طيب خلاص.
So just what if a person prays with one of his shoulders showing?
And we said